Hi, I'd like to bring some considerations to composers concerning how you format your scores. There's lots of different ideas about this, so I want to give you mine and give some examples of how you might be thinking about this. My main annoyance with scores is white space. So let's be real about this. We spend most of our time looking at scores, PDFs, or scrolling scores in videos. So what we want to make sure is we optimize the screen space and how the viewer gets to get the best impression of the piece looking at it on a screen. Fortunately, all the things I'm saying about that apply just as well when you're printing a score. And my first thing I'd like to say is, why don't we all just format our scores in 8.5 by 11 letter size? It makes them a lot easier to print. You can print booklets out of those, and makes a nice handy way of having a score. It might be a little too small for a conductor to conduct from. So the beautiful thing is that if you blow up an 8.5 by 11 score to 11 by 14, it makes a really nice conductor performance score. I've been looking at aspect ratios, and 8.5 by 11, it has an aspect ratio of 0.77, which converts to 11 by 14 beautifully if you enlarge it 130%. 11 by 17 is a skinny, not very computer screen friendly format. And it's something that I think everybody tends to, or many composers at least, fall into the idea of, oh, if I use 11 by 17, then I have all this space and I can write all these little notes I want to write in and don't have to worry about collisions. But the unfortunate thing about that is it means that most of the space that the viewer is seeing on the screen is white space, space in between stabs. So I am using a score here that Claire, who was very generous to send me her Sibelius file, and I was able to play around with it. I think this is a great piece, and I think it should be really presented in the most compelling way. And I think that means finding a way to get the score not having so much white space. So I did a little work with Sibelius. Now this is a very rough copy, and I've got to say also that the her dynamic font is one that my computer didn't understand. So when I made this PDF, the dynamics are wrong. But I want you to just compare the look of a page that's 11 by 17 and the look of a page that's on the screen at the same size, but this one is 8.5 by 11. The difference, of course, is that the aspect ratio means that these pages are wider, but also gave me the option of, when I formatted it, avoiding some of the blank space in between stabs. So if we just look at the general, how this score looks in the original version with the 11 by 17, there's just a lot of spread, and it's kind of skinny looking, and that's because of the aspect ratio of 11 by 17 and the choice to use formatting parameters that spread the music out. And it looks very interesting, but also looks kind of like there's too much blank space in there, and the parts aren't really involved in each other to the same degree as they would look on this version. Now this is the version that I just told Sibelius to format it to letter size. There's some formatting errors that need to be fixed. So it's not a lazy answer, because you have to go and find things that are colliding and move lines around inside the score. And I'm going to do another another session like this on how to do that in Sibelius. Today, I'm just wanting to have you look at the scores, the difference between something that's formatted 11 by 17 What that translates to on the screen is the aspect ratio, which means that if you can see, these are the same height and the reduction that I'm looking at on the screen, but it's much wider in this version. So what's basically I'm suggesting is by 8.5 by 11, you are increasing the width, and it's much more similar to the way video works and the way computer screens are built. And the other thing is getting rid of white space, and that's something that you need to find a way to tell your application not to spread things out to the margins and give you control over how you want things to look. Obviously, there's things I'd want to fix here, but now I have a play field in which to work with those things, and I'm not forced to do this kind of spreading out waste of space. A lot of my ideas about this are based on looking at other scores. This is Messiaen and Tarantula Symphony. That's kind of 11 by 17, but notice that when it goes to a smaller instrumentation, it's not optimized to go out to the margins, but rather reformatted to allow the white space to be where it's not getting in the road. My favorite instance is this Petrushka, and this is Boozy and Hawks, and you can see this is a very large orchestra score, but the aspect ratio of the score is something that's very much akin to 8.5 by 11. It's not exactly that, but it's very similar to that. And when it's a performance score, it's blown up to 11 by 14. So this is the kind of look that I aspire to in my scores. I've written a lot of music for this ensemble, not the orchestra rather, but the Alarm Will Sound kind of ensemble. Claire's piece was just premiered by Alarm Will Sound, and that's, I think, Nature's Perfect Orchestra. So I have been using that ensemble a lot. It's nice that I have a new music ensemble here at IU that I can get pieces played by. And my scores will look, let me find one. Yeah, the latest one I did was Sol Chacon. So you can see that this, you can get a lot of music and very clear definition if you use 8.5 by 11 as your default. So things work very well on that. In fact, an opera, or a music theater piece at any rate, that is done in that same formatting. So even with two singers singing and an orchestra that it has harp and piano and your complete sinfonietta, it looks very clear and bold because of just formatting it in a way that gets the most music, the most print in the space that's being used. So I will be talking about Sibelius in another video, and I'll make that available to everybody that's seeing this.